Okay, folks, Andrew Bopros here. I'm going to do a quick video on the undrafted free agents, just a few that are standing out, actually getting paid more money. And I'm going to discuss the amount of money that is guaranteed to some of the undrafted free agents. I think it's going to give us a good understanding of who potentially has the best chance of making this team. It's kind of interesting discussion. And there's two players I think we may actually do some videos on a little later because they're actually getting paid more money. And so we can talk a little bit more about them in a little greater detail. But plenty to talk about this video, guys. It'll be an interesting one, guys. As always, Bolt Bros, let's go. Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bolt Bros. And leave a comment down below what you like or dislike about the video. So Raheim Sanders is making the most noise. I know we've rambled on about him. I know, Andrew, shut up. You've talked about him way too much. I get it. But it's interesting how much more money he's getting paid compared to the rest of the undrafted free agents. The thing to remember about undrafted free agents, they're not guaranteed anything, right? You literally, hey, cool, we come to camp, basically. That's really what it boils down to. The interesting thing about Raheim Sanders, and we did predict that he would do well, not me specifically, but I know you as the fans started talking about him and saying he's a really good player. I'm going to also review his draft status, which is kind of shocking how high he was ranked as a running back and how far he was drafted, of course, in this draft. But he has the highest guaranteed salary of any undrafted free agent signing this offseason at $60,000. Now, that's for the Chargers, I do believe. Now, so 60 grand, you might say, well, 60 grand is not a lot of money. Correct. But again, undrafted free agents, I think they're only guaranteed like $5,000 is really the large amount that they're supposed to be even guaranteed. So the good news is he's making good money. It shows you the Chargers are putting their money where their mouths are, right? So interesting. I'm going to talk about another player that actually received a lot more money. Kind of shocked me when I saw this as well, too. So let me share with you the draft information on Raheim Sanders. I do think it's pretty telling where he sits as a player and as a potential running back for the Chargers. Again, he's 6 foot, 217. I think the Chargers have him ranked at 230. He might even be 240. He's a big dude, man. Big guy. Senior, good rating, 80 out of 100. Interesting, running back rating was 20. He's the 20th highest ranked running back in this draft. Kind of shocked me, right? I do actually, let's look at his full statistics. I can't remember what he did these past years. Okay, so actually his best year was in 2022, where he got a lot more, right? So he had quite a few attempts. The argument is his attempts maybe dropped off a little bit compared to what he had in 2022. So he didn't have his best year, in his final year in college, right? But again, rushing yards, 881. Almost averaging 5 yards a carry, 11 rushing touchdowns, 22 receptions. Look, he's a big freaking dude, man. Like, he is a good player. Now, you might argue, well, his height's, he's 6 foot, weight's decent. Where he struggled was some of the agility type drills, three cone, shut. He didn't really do great in a lot of those things as well. People like, of course, our boy Martin Hampton, obviously his footwork is way better. Raheim Sanders is more of a hammer, right? He is a downfield hammer. He is going to smash the ball at your face. And, the argument is that's, he's kind of a one-trick pony, a Jerome Bettis, if you will, right? One of those guys. But he's not, but he also has some deceptive speed. But again, he did not do great in the combine. They put him as a dual rollback. I do think there's a chance he could also play maybe a fullback. Guys, we might even be doing a lot of 2 running back sets. I wouldn't be shocked if we started doing that. We have this just, a lot of people talk about the tush push and, how cheap that is. But we might put 3 running backs in the backfield and just smash the ball. Hell, we might even run triple option. Who knows what we're going to start doing this year? I think truly, if we're going to play bully ball, this guy fits that mold. I think that's partially why I think he's a good chance to make this squad. Hell, maybe even the 53-man roster, which I know, guys, you might say, well, what the hell is that all about? But he could come in and do a lot of really good things. Now, I think he does need to prove himself in special teams. I think it's where he's going to really have to excel and really beat someone like a Hassan Haskins, who's we know is on this roster right now currently. But again, strengths, dominant frame, just keep him guessing, quick feet, surprisingly quick for a big guy. Surprising agility, stands out, superior contact balance, again, vision burst, all the above. I mean, again, I think there are some nimbleness issues. He's just a big dude. It's really hard when you're that big to really move that fast. As you know, pass catching ability is a little limited. Really, again, I don't foresee him really being a major pass catcher for the Chargers, but again, he likes contact, right? You might say, well, ball security. Again, he has fumbled a few times as well. So again, you can kind of see why he's dropped. You can also wonder why he's dropped, right? But sometimes you really need your best year in your final year. He didn't make that happen. And again, the Gamecocks weren't a great team last year as well, too. So, you can argue all day, well, how good is he really going to be? Look, I think he fits the mold of what the Chargers want to do. Like I mentioned, a 3 running back set might be an important, aspect to what we could potentially see with the Chargers and just smash the ball. Guys, we got Mekhi Becton. We got all these big dudes. You could just flood the right side and just do a crack toss to a running back and just have 2 lead blockers and just bully the ball downfield and just beat the hell out of the cornerbacks on the other side of the field. Guys, we can play nasty football, and this guy fits the bill. Why I like him is that reason and that reason alone, right? He's just a big dude. Think about it. You're 180 pounds soaking wet. This guy comes at you full head of speed. Oh, hell no. I don't want to get in front of that guy. So I'm just saying, he fits that type of mold. I'm going to talk about one other player. Actually, I'm going to talk about three other players really quickly, and then I'm going to focus on one. So moving forward that conversation. So, you might ask yourself, well, Andrew, who else has got paid more money this offseason that the Chargers don't necessarily need to? So this is interesting. Cornerback Nikko Reed, who we've talked about, I believe once or twice on this channel, is actually paid the highest amount after our boy Raheim Sanders. Pretty interesting situation. Guaranteed salary for college free agent was Nikko Reed, $40,000. Chargers coach were undoubtedly familiar with the Oregon product, as we know, and wouldn't mind missing some possible long-term depth. And again, look, we don't know the situation. We got Tarheeb still and Cam Hart. Cam Hart's had injuries. Tarheeb still had a breakout season last year. Clearly, they need to reevaluate Nikko Reed. I think Nikko Reed has a chance of making this team. Probably not the 53-man roster, but maybe the practice squad, which could be good. Again, the Chargers are undergoing a bit of a youth movement right now moving forward. But let's talk a little bit more about Nikko Reed, because I do think it's interesting to discuss. And I'm going to briefly discuss 2 other players at the end. And I want you to let me know if you want me to do videos on these other 2 players. I think it makes sense. We've already talked about Luke Grimm, which is one, but there's 2 more that I want to talk about as well, too. So let's talk a little bit about Nikko Reed and where he sits within this organization. Let me just share my screen and pull up the draft combine prospect information off of NFL Network. So this is his profile. Now again, look at his hair. First of all, that's big. That's big. So yeah, good to see that. I like the fro. A good fro is awesome. I'm a fan. Now, let me just say this. He's from Oakland, 5'10", 180. Now, you might argue that, yeah, look, he's probably a little undersized, and he is, right? The prospect grade, average backup, or special teamer. I think that's really what he's going to have to show himself in special teams. That's really going to be the biggest part of the conversation. Let's just look down at the grading view here, right? So average backup, special team. Again, perfect prospect, 8. And so he's all the way down at the bottom here. Now, you might ask yourself this question. Well, what are his strengths and what is it? Now, one thing I will say, now he's a bit undersized as a slot corner. Now, remember last year, Jasir Taylor, we talked about this before. Jasir Taylor did not have a great season. His rookie season, he actually did a very good job. He was a very good slot corner. Apparently, it's coming out now that Jasir Taylor had a major injury and he still played through it last season. So there's a lot that, again, when we look at like the injury report, guys, let me be very clear about something. The injury report, that everyone's injured. Everyone is banged up out there on that field, no matter what. You're out there playing. We saw that with Justin Herbert. We saw that with a lot of the other players. When you cannot play, it's literally, I cannot play, right? I cannot move my body as I need to at all. But apparently Jasir Taylor had some form of injury that was really hindering him last season, but he still fought through it. So he showed a lot of grit. Now, whether or not he can play again this season or not, I think he has an opportunity to at least challenge Jasir Taylor for that slot corner position. whether or not he makes the team squad, again, showing backup, special teams, he needs to show some additional value than just being a backup slot corner. So that's a big part of the conversation. But again, Reed is undersized slot corner, but makes his competitive outside much more impressive. He can, again, bigger receivers will have jump ball advantages over him. Again, he's only 5'10", at 180. So he needs to probably put on a little bit more weight, right? Moving forward. Strength, strong for his size, extremely tough and competitive. Now remember, Asante Samuel's 5'10". I think he might even be a little smaller than that, and I think that's the reason why he's sort of struggled. But easily retraces route from a trail technique, crowds receivers' frames, mashes gas. Again, he rushes downhill, blocks and tackles in run support. For his size, that's pretty big. Now, remember, we just talked about Raheim Sanders, who's, 230, 240 potentially, and he's 180. He's losing 50 pounds. That guy comes at him at Nikko Reed full speed. Woo! Nikko, get down, buddy. Go for the ankles. Ankle biter, that's what you are at this point, right? But again, my point is, it's really tough to know where you're really going to stack up. Again, weakness below average height, weight, length, fairly average footwork, right? So big part of that. Now, again, remember Cam Hart had fairly average footwork coming out of college as well, too. A lot of people liked him, but he had injury issues. He had some struggles as well. A lot of people said his footwork wasn't the best. You could argue both ways on that. I actually think he's done a little bit better than that. Lacks fluidity and balance. Slow, step slow to gather, plant, and from shuffle technique. I don't think he performed very well in a lot of that as well. Receivers play over him and beat him to the high point. So you can see why he slipped as an undrafted free agent, but clearly the Chargers see some future in him as well too. So I just want to really point out that, again, Raheim Sanders has looked very good. Nikko Reed is getting paid the second highest amount of any undrafted player thus far this season. Now, let me talk about the two other players that I think are important. After Reed, cornerback Eric Rogers and pass rusher Garmon Randolph sit tied with $20,000. So we might want to do videos on both of those players as well, since we have not done them. Again, it's the offseason. There's not a whole lot going on. So let's at least talk about some of these players. So let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to talk about cornerback Eric Rogers and pass rusher Garmon Randolph getting paid $20,000. Now, the one that surprised me as well, too, is Luke Grimm only got $5,000. That really shocks me. Now, I would say my only reason why I think that could happen is that we have a pretty crowded wide receiver room right now. So the odds of him making the squad are fairly low just because of how many wide receivers we currently have on the roster. Someone gets traded, someone gets moved. Again, there's been some discussions about Quentin Johnson potentially being traded before the season. So we'll see what happens. But again, guys, just want to do a quick video on these undrafted free agents. And again, let me know if you want me to do a video on Eric Rogers and Garmon Randolph. Leave a comment down below. Again, we do read your comments, guys. Again, let me know what you guys think of this video. Leave a comment down for the algorithm. As always, Andrew Bolt Bros. See you guys in the next one.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast. Let's go.
Charged up, Bolt Bros on the night.